My name's Lowell Bennett. This is a workshop on writing personal statements. And I always used to hate writing personal statements because I never quite knew what they're looking for. And since I've been working here at the Learning Center, to unlock it. Hey, come on in, welcome. So close it. Since I've been working here at the Learning Center, I've had the opportunity to read a lot of personal statements and work with a lot of the professors. And one instructor, Professor Cooks, Dr. Cooks, what he told us about writing personal statements really resonated with me. And I took that, I took what I learned. Hi, how you doing? Good, good. We're doing a workshop on personal. Yeah. And so what I learned from Dr. Cooks is really the basic structure of how to tell your struggle in a way that highlights your accomplishments as well. And it kind of really struck with me. It made a lot of sense because people who are looking to admit you to college as you look to transfer, for scholarship applications, they're looking for a couple of things. They're looking for what you've accomplished, yes, but also they're looking for your story. They want to hear your story. And so, in a way, that kind of struck me as that kind of caused me to ask the question, what is a personal statement? And it's really got to be something strong. And it's got to be, I think it's got to be a compelling story told to get what you want. Now you guys are all here because you want something. You want scholarship money, you want a transfer, you want something from the reader. And so you have to think of a way to construct this story that's going to be compelling. And the key word here, one of the key words here is story. Everybody likes to hear a story, and we each have our own stories to tell. And so now we have to step back a minute. Okay, what makes a good story that somebody's going to want to listen to? And there's a number of components. If you sit back and think about it, there's a number of components to telling a good story. It's got to have a compelling character. The reader of your story has to care about who they're reading about. So it's got to have a main compelling character, which is going to be you in this case. There's got to be some sort of a conflict or an obstacle to overcome. If I have a story that's just, yeah, come on in. If I'm telling a story that's just, peaches and cream, everything's great, I did this, I did that, I did the other, it's okay. That highlights what you did, but it doesn't give an insight to the reader of, kind of who you are. Hi, how are you? Yeah, we're just getting started. It doesn't give you the reader that insight into who you are. And that's really what's going to be, if you tell them who they are, if they have a good sense of who you are, that's going to move them to give you what you want. Some of the other things, a story reads well if you have this journey or this struggle. So you've got the conflict that's there, and then this epic journey, the struggle that you're on. And it's almost like you want to tell this story so that a little bit about you, there's all these obstacles you're facing, but now I've been on this journey, I've been overcoming these obstacles, and now I'm to this point, and I need some help from the reader, which is going to be scholarship money. And then finally, it's got to have a happy ending, a happy conclusion. if only they give you what you want. They're going to write the end of your story if they give you what they want. Now, nobody wants to have a sad story where they have this story, obstacles are overcoming, you're doing this, you're doing that, and now it comes to, they're going to write the ending. They don't want to say, no, you don't get the money. That's not a good story. So that's the final thing. You want the reader of it to want to say, oh, what's the ending of the story? Boom, you got the scholarship. Boom, you got admitted. That's going to be the ending of it. And I want to back up for a minute because I want to highlight something, because I see lots of good note-taking. If you go to, right at the bottom there, it's bit.ly/Lowell's Writing Tools. If you go there, this entire presentation is going to be there. I'm videotaping it, so I'm going to put a link to YouTube. So it's all going to be there. So don't worry about trying to get everything down right at this moment. But that's the essence of it. It's telling this compelling story. Now, what the insight that Dr. Cooks had is he had a nice layout for telling this kind of story. It's very efficient in terms of getting the information, personal information about you and your struggle out there, and then it quickly moves into telling about the journey, what the accomplishments you've had. And so that's what we're going to look at today, is go through that and see how we can match it to what you guys want to do. So step one in any kind of story is character development. So this, think of as your introduction. In order to care about you, the reader needs to know something about you. So you're going to be sharing some information about yourself. The more they know, the more they're going to care. The more personal it is, the more they're going to care. The more difficult it is in terms of your struggle or your past story, the more they're going to care. Now, each person, as you write your story, you're going to have to decide, thank you, you're going to have to decide how much you want to share because we all know there's some really difficult stories out there. Yes?
So what's too much?
That's for each person, I think, to decide. It's a very personal thing. Mm-hmm. I've read some personal statements that are very powerful and very personal. And
Did it make you feel more uncomfortable that they're sharing this with you, or is it more of like a compassionate empathy thing?
I think it was more the compassionate empathy, because it was coupled, I saw the obstacle, I saw the things that had happened to this person, and I saw the struggle, and then I also saw, the rest of it, we'll talk about it, is what they did to overcome it, and then how they got to this point. And at that point, I didn't have the money, but if I did, it would be like, oh yes, we've got to help this person because they've shown that they can overcome. They just need a little bit more help. So it's a very personal thing. Some people aren't comfortable sharing everything. And you'll see in the structure of this, the structure doesn't allow you to share page after page, because I've read some personal statements where they shared a lot, but it was too much in terms of too much struggle, too long. Like there's 2 pages of struggle. I can't read 2 pages of struggle. Let's take that struggle, the essence of that struggle, condense it into that first paragraph or maybe 2, because people will get a sense very quickly that, oh, there's a lot here. And then they want to kind of move on. It's like, okay, well, this is tough situation this person had. Now, what have they done with that in the meantime, and where do they want to go in the future? So that's the kind of the rest of the story that we're going to build. So yeah, again, very, very personal. But again, the more personal and more difficult it is, that's going to evoke the empathy of the reader. And it also shows that if you've overcome that, wow, what else can you do? So it shows your strength as well to overcome that. So the journey and the struggle. So after you define this conflict and this kind of history, you have to really ask for the help that you're seeking. And that's kind of a key component. This whole thing is structured like a 5-paragraph essay. You're probably very familiar with that from English class. So it's going to have an introduction, it's going to have some body paragraphs, it's going to have a conclusion. Your introduction is going to be about this obstacle, and we'll see some examples of it. It's going to be this, the obstacles and kind of your history, so that reader gets a sense of who you are. Then at the end of that, you're going to have a thesis statement. And the thesis statement is going to be constructed so that you're asking for what you want. And you're going to say why you deserve it. So you're going to say something like, I believe I'm qualified, I believe I'm qualified for the scholarship because, I've overcome these obstacles, I've contributed to the community, I have good work experience, and I need this money to get my PhD. So it's really laid out there for them. So you're going to have that. But this journey and the struggle, this is all, and I talk about it on the slide, the jobs you've had, community service, academic achievement, any honors. You're going to have that in there, but it comes after you've identified the struggle and after that thesis statement where you're teeing up the reader to expect these other things that are coming. So it's very much structured like a 5-paragraph essay. Introduction with a thesis, and then these body paragraphs are going to lay out your journey. And the final thing here is really important, is this aspirational academic or career plan. Now, a lot of students I talk to, I say, oh, what are your goals? And the classic thing, because we're here, we're grinding away, our one goal is just to, finish out the semester. So that's a good goal. A lot of times I hear, well, I want to transfer. It's like, oh, that's a good goal. But these aspirational goals, these are big, long goals. And so really envision yourself where you might be in 5 years, in 10 years, not in 6 months or a year. So, if you're studying law, administration of justice, maybe you're thinking, oh, I just want to transfer to Cal State East Bay. But it's like, well, think beyond that. What about law school? What about a master's degree in criminal justice? Think big, and that's going to be your aspiration. There's nothing that says you actually have to do that. You'll make those decisions when you get to that point. But take this opportunity to think big and long term. It's like, well, I could be a police officer. What if I became a detective and a district attorney and a judge? Those are big kind of aspirational goals that you want to put into this journey and the struggle that you're on. And then the happy conclusion, happy ending. This is at the conclusion, you're going to state explicitly again, why you? Why should they give you the money? And then you're going to summarize kind of the high points. I believe, you're going to say, I believe I can really, use this scholarship, I'm making this up, because, I meet all the criteria that were laid out in the application. You were just reading me some of the questions that you're getting. I meet all the criteria for community service, as evidenced by, I worked at the Learning Center. For work experience, I've worked I work part-time at the police station. Um, Anything else, all the high points from your 3 paragraphs, you're going to reiterate them, just like a standard English conclusion paper. And then finally, you want to describe how this position or award is a critical component to helping you reach your ultimate goal. If I get this funds, I'll be able to complete the semester and transfer and be well on my way to earning a PhD. Then the person that's reading is like, oh my God, this person, they had the struggle, but they didn't let that stop them. They worked, they served the community, they've got this great academic plan. And now, you just reminded them here, and oh yeah, that's right, they're going for their PhD. We got to help this person. They'll feel obligated to help you and give you what you want. So that's the Cook's personal statement in a nutshell. So those are the things we're trying to accomplish. Hello. Lots of different formats, lots of different links. I was hearing earlier about 250 words. If you start with this format, and this is Cook's, Dr. Cook's. He used to be an English professor here. He taught English 5, critical thinking. This was one of the assignments that he would give, is to write a personal statement that allowed him to get to know the students. And he knows that you need these personal statements for multiple things. And so first assignment, hey, we're going to write a personal statement. So this is his format. So I really appreciated seeing that. And it's, like I said, it's essentially a 5-paragraph essay with this kind of structure. And if you follow that, it's going to be more than 250 words. But it's got all the elements that you need. You can cut and paste. 2,000 words. Ooh, I don't have 2,000 words. I can expand on it. I can go into more details on the jobs that I had, or the community service that I did. So it's very flexible. I've used it. I didn't think I would need it because I had, I've been to college, worked for years and years. So I'm coming back. It's like, I don't really need a personal statement. But I've used it over and over again, for writing letters, for introducing myself to situations. Somebody wants to know something about me, like, okay, here's my personal statement, over and over again. So it's a very flexible format. And we talked about all that. So more of the details. Now let me pause for a minute and just see if there's any questions, because I was about to go through step by step, but that's at a very high level. Everything I've talked about at a very high level covers that. Any questions? Is that kind of clarifying? Yeah, when he described it to me, it was it's like, oh, I get it. And again, some of the statements I've seen, when they first come in, it's all struggle. Because people have a lot of emotions about the life they've lived. And they want to get it out on paper, and it comes out on paper. But in this context, when you're trying to get something, it can't be all that. It's got to be, there's that, no mistake about it. But, that kind of goes down, obstacle, struggle, and then we bring it up. I worked, went back to school, got involved in the community. High, when we finish on a high note, I just need the money or I need the admission. So that's it. So this is kind of more details on, writing your introduction, kind of basically what I was just saying. It doesn't have to be struggle. It can give you some insight into what motivates you. You're going to state what you want. And then it talks a bit about the subtopics of the essay, those kind of 3 middle body paragraphs. In these middle body paragraphs, we're going to talk about your work experience, community service, your prior education, and then we talked about that aspirational. As part of your prior education, that aspirational academic plan. And I'm just going to show you an example I pulled out of a sample intro. And I'm going to critique it. A desire to learn and share knowledge has always been a motivating factor for me. An innate curiosity to understand why has always driven me to learn new things since I was a child, and was evidenced in my desire to learn about math and science and computers. This STEM curiosity eventually led to degrees in engineering and business. Additionally, I enjoyed sharing what I had learned in the most respectful and effective manner. This started with tutoring minority high school students in the MESA Math, Engineering, and Science Achievement Program when I was in college. This skill continued to be honed during my professional career as an investment strategist. I now want to leverage my formal education and work experience and combine it with additional subject and course-specific knowledge to become the most effective tutor that I can be. So this is fine. I have a kind of a general sense of who this person is, but there's something kind of missing. This person hasn't really, they shared a little bit, but they haven't shared any obstacle with me. So it's okay. I can kind of go along with it. It's okay, but I don't really see the obstacles here. And I'm not really clear on what the person wants. It's like they say want, they use the word want, but they don't really tell me what this is for. You know, maybe if they had this, maybe they would customize it. Maybe they, oh, I got a scholarship. It's like, I now want to earn this scholarship in order to leverage my form, you know, all this other stuff. Maybe there they would add that in. But so this is the right format, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't move me that much because I don't have that struggle. It's kind of all, it starts kind of, oh, it's hi, I want to do this, I want to do this. It's all happy, cheery, which if that's your story, that's great. But usually there's things, you know, people have to work, or life just happens to everybody. And so, again, that's something to consider. But that's just an example. But again, it does, the good things about it are that it does give kind of a sense of who this person is. You know, they're kind of a math person, and they want to be effective tutors. So it does kind of give some explanation there. Body paragraph. It's a standard kind of English stuff. Begin with a topic sentence, and then you're going to have one for work experience, community service, and an educational plan. And here you're going to put actual evidence. You know, really, what were the jobs? If you're going into nursing, you know, anything related to nursing, caring for patients, caring for kids, you want to extract that. I have a lot of students that say, well, I haven't really worked. And it's like, no, we're going to find some things that you did that are going to fit into that work category. Or if they don't fit into the work category, maybe they're in the community service category. Because everybody's done something. And so you want to find out what that type of experience is. And then the other thing is so that's the actual evidence. And then we talked before about the aspirational aspect of the academic plan. So I want to look at another example here of a academic paragraph. So my current academic plan is to take classes which will allow me to be the most effective tutor that I can be. It is not enough to have no statistics and calculus and English from almost 40 years ago. It has to be fresh in your mind, consistent with how it's being taught in the classes students are taking today. Additionally, I need to learn how to tutor. Although I have been educating colleagues and clients in a professional setting, tutoring itself is a specific skill that can be taught and learned. I have taken and will continue to take classes which will refresh my academic knowledge and hone my tutoring skills. So, what are your thoughts on this? Anybody? Just
It
You
doesn't
want-
have any like, it doesn't really show who the person is. It's not like personable, and it's not gonna be like, oh, I remember that kid for something. This is kind of just general information that he has given you.
general.
That anyone could have had. So.
Right, right. Exactly, exactly. And as far as academics, it's not very aspirational. We were talking about aspirational. It's like, well, you want to take classes? Great, lots of people want to take classes. It's like, what are you trying to get to? You know, at least masters, any kind of academic stuff. You want to at least set that master's out there. Again, you're trying to distinguish yourself. You know, PhD, even better if it's something you'd consider. Law school, medical school. You had a question, Dana.
On the fourth line, I notice people use you and your a lot in their writing, where it says it has to be fresh in your mind and consistent with how it is being taught in the classroom. Where you're writing this to someone, and so when you use you or your, it's like you're telling them what they want and how they feel.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
it has to be fresh in my mind and consistent with how it is being taught to me.
Right, right. Or one's mind, or
Yeah,
if there's
yeah,
something
or
more.
one's
Yeah,
mind,
yeah.
yeah.
No, good point. Good point. That raises another issue is after you write it, don't just turn it in,
Right.
proofread it, and then bring it to outstanding English tutors like Dana Rose, who can take a look at it. And there's many other great English tutors to read over it, see what they think, give their impression. But yeah, but those are the points. It's like, so it's not really a plan. It's like your plan is you want to take some more classes. That's okay, but I really want to see, I've taken, suppose it's criminal justice. I've taken administration of justice courses. Once I finish, I want to transfer. And then once I transfer, I want to go on for my master's in criminal justice. Or I want to go to law school after that. So you wanted something.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what's the length?
This strategy I'm talking about here is designed to be like a two-page, double space, kind of standard two-page English 5-paragraph essay. Now you're going to customize it to whatever your situation. We were just talking about some of the questions for the scholarships that are coming up are like 250-word answers, which is like, a paragraph, couple paragraphs. So you won't have as much space. But if you have this as your go-to, you can compress it or expand it to make it fit whatever question you have, because it's got every component: work experience, community service, academic, whatever they ask you about. Your life history, it's got that in there. So it's all part of it. So that's the critique for that one. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had a question. Do you think that the person should have been more specific in
Can
this
I repeat your
area
Yeah, I'll repeat it.
with, like, they tap onto their professional setting? Should they be more specific in the type of work or the type of employment?
Okay, so
Instead of just saying, I've educated colleagues and
Yes.
clients.
well, this paragraph. Oh, the question is, should the person have been more specific in talking about the work experience that they had, and probably, but hopefully they had another paragraph that talked about work experience prior to this. So they.
So that would have went into the introduction and not the body? Or?
That would have been, there's going to be 3 of these body paragraphs.
Right.
So one is going to be on work experience. So hopefully they went into more details on work experience. in the previous one, and then maybe some community service, a paragraph on that, and then this. So if they're talking about this here, hopefully they expanded on it in that other paragraph. So each paragraph is going to go into the detail that's needed. Then the conclusion. Just like the standard English essays, kind of restate your thesis of what you want, but here you're rephrasing it in the sense of why you. Hopefully they have a pretty good sense of why you at this stage, because you've laid it out for them, but you're going to remind them because they're reading a lot of these applications, and so you want to remind them of everything that you talked about. So you're going to say why you, and then 2 or 3 of the key highlights from everything you told them. What's the most important thing you want to remind them of, and then anything else that's kind of additional, uplifting, that maybe didn't fit into those categories. But yeah, here's where you kind of make your closing argument, so to speak, in the conclusion. And then just examples. Conclusion, the tutoring skills I have learned from taking tutoring classes combined with my professional experience and training as a communicator of complex financial concepts have prepared me to work as a tutor. My formal academic preparation and experience from earning a bachelor's degree and master's degree from Stanford, combined with the additional course-specific knowledge I have obtained for taking classes in English and Spanish and French and math and African American studies, will allow me to address the course-specific needs of the students I teach, as well as mentor and advise them on how to succeed in college and life. The desire to learn and share that I had in my youth continues to inspire and motivate me to this day. So, any comments on conclusion? Does it remind you of what was probably talked about before? Not necessarily. It's a little hard because we don't know what was talked about before. But doesn't say why me, doesn't answer that question, why me. The first sentence is kind of, I have a feel of a restated thesis, but it's still not saying almost specifically, why me, why are you going to say me? But it does talk about tutoring classes, professional experience and training, communicator of financial concepts. That sounds like a kind of reminder of work experience. And then to work as a tutor, maybe that's what the person was looking for. Oh, this is why I want to work as a tutor. Maybe that's what they're asking for. But again, you can be, more deliberate about it.
So
Mary?
my question is, so you're saying in the conclusion, we're supposed to answer our own question, the why me, why should I have this monies or grant?
You're talking to the committee who's going to review these applications, and you're telling them, why me? Why should you give this money to me? And the reason they should give you the money to you is for all the things you stated, but not, in the prior paragraphs, but now you're just going to remind them.
Okay, so they give us a topic to talk about, or we?
Well, this is a generic personal statement. So we're going to take this personal statement and then we're going to customize it, because that's the other key component, is that you have all of these applications, every scholarship application, school applications, they all want these personal statements, they all ask different questions. But if you get this format down, you can customize and cut and paste. It doesn't have to be, okay, start from scratch. What are my career goals? Oh, wow. What are my academic goals? Oh, I got to start. You've got the bulk of it right here. Expand it, contract it, compress it.
Is there a sample you'll give us, or should we just take pictures?
This whole presentation, it's all online. So I'll now share the link. It's at bit.ly/Lowell's Writing Tools, and I'll show you that
This one,
again.
just and as far as essay writing,
Mm-hmm.
I see a bunch of ands. Are you supposed to use as many ands in English and Spanish and French and Latin and African American studies. Is that supposed to be like?
So the question is, are there too many ands in here? You could have commas. It's a style thing. We're taking classes in English, Spanish, French, math, comma, and African. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes people use that for emphasis. It's like this, this,
Oh, you can
this.
use it to emphasize each.
It's a style
Oh,
thing,
okay.
but you're technically, commas are probably more efficient.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to drag, you want to get straight to the point in
Yeah.
detail. But straight to the point in detail where you don't, it's not a book, it's just a paragraph.
It's just a paragraph. And the other thing that's a little missing from this is the struggle. We had that struggle in in this case there really wasn't much of a struggle, but that kind of there's a little bit of the reminder that is at the very end, the desire to learn and share. That's kind of from that intro paragraph. So that's still there. But this can also be a case or an opportunity to remind the reader that, hey, I've come a long way. I've traveled this road, but I've still managed to, get valuable work experience, contribute to the community, and advance my education even with those obstacles that I had. And so this is where you want to remind them of the journey. Ultimately, this whole thing is, in the very beginning, it's called the beautiful struggle. Professor Santana calls it the beautiful struggle. That's what you're trying to convey in this story is, your struggle, but not a struggle where it's just struggle. It's like some struggle, maybe a lot of struggle, but then you're climbing out and you need this help.
So let me ask a question. That's my first time ever sitting in something like this.
Oh yeah.
And so many people that's writing to give their story, I gather.
Mm-hmm.
And so they pick one out the whole bunch.
I don't know the details. You're talking about the Senate scholarships. I don't know the details of. I don't think it's one because I recall going to an awards thing, and it's like there were multiple people that got awards for different categories and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not sure the details of how they're going to award the scholarships. But it doesn't just have to be here. Don't limit yourself to just these scholarships. There's scholarships all over the place. And don't limit the use of this document that you'll create to just applying for this. Use it for, you can use parts of it for cover letters. I go back to it. I'm surprised that I use it as much as I do, but I go back to it all the time. It's like, oh yeah, I wrote that in that personal statement I wrote. That's my personal statement, by the way. That's why. Every time I look at it, I was like, I didn't do that very well. I didn't do that very well. So.
Is there like a specific website you can go to find out about other scholarships outside of Peralta?
That's a Google question.
Just Google scholarships.
Google scholarships, how to find scholarships, and Mr. Google will tell you a lot more than what I know. So that's pretty much it. Again, bit.ly/Lowell's Writing Tools. If you go there, it's going to have links to this presentation. Once I get the video, I'll put the video up there. That may spark some memories. And also other writing tools too. There's the Bennett Detective Model, which is a strategy for writing regular essays, research papers. I think these tools, I'm a math person. So, you saw just reading that conclusion. Engineering and business, that's what I do. And so I'm into efficiency and getting things done. And I I hate to write. I used to hate to write because it would always take me so long, and then I didn't like what I came up with. But with the help of Dr. Cooks and Chairman Johnson, he chairs the English department here, they gave me so many great ideas about how to do things more efficiently and more effectively that, 5-page paper, if I heard a 5-page paper before their classes, I'd be like, okay, I'm out. I can't do it. It's too many pages. But after that, it's like, oh, I just need to do a little research, get some quotes and some stats, pop out some body paragraphs, so much more efficient. So go to that site, Lowell's Writing Tools, and you'll see a bunch of stuff, videos and some write-ups, just kind of summarizing. I just got inspired by what they had given to me, and so I just wanted to share it.
So I know I'm a little late for work.
Oh, no worries.
So what did you do? You did a background. I noticed. I'm looking at your background. You added some color and stuff.
Yeah,
And then-
how I started, when did you come in? I'm trying to think.
You missed me, but you saw me.
I saw you, but I didn't see you.
Probably 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, let me give you, in terms of a conclusion for our class, we'll just remind everybody of what we covered, and then you'll see what it is. But in essence, a personal statement, we talked about it, is telling your story and the beautiful struggle, in the words of Professor Santana. What is a personal statement? It's a compelling story told to get what you want. And so you want to tell this compelling story. To tell a compelling story, you need a compelling character, a conflict or an obstacle to overcome, a journey, this kind of epic journey that you're on, and a happy ending, happy conclusion that only the person you're writing to can give you. So the scholarship reader or the hiring manager, when they're reading this, they're going to provide that ending by awarding you the scholarship. But you're building this story so that they feel really comfortable in doing that. And we went on to talk about character development. Very important to care about that character. And we talked about the more they know, the more they care. The more personal it is, the more a person's going to care. The more difficult the struggle has been, the more the person's going to care. So it's always a personal decision deciding how much you want to share and put out there. But the more that's out there, generally, the more a person is going to care about what the story is. We talked about the journey and the struggle, and that's where the body paragraphs came in. And then we talked about the conclusion, writing the conclusion. I think you heard most of that, but most of the journey and the struggle is talking about, the community service, the jobs, the volunteering, academic achievement, the aspirational academic goals. I think that's about when you were coming in, but that's the essence of it, is telling the story. Starting off with these obstacles that you've overcome to get to this point, but not letting that dominate the whole story. So, I think that's it. I think that's it. Yay!
So one more thing.
Oh yeah, sure.
So what's the deadline?
I think I saw in the things, those papers, it was March 29th, I think. Did I see that right?
Okay. And so one other thing. We submit this to a certain site?
It has all the information.
Yeah. I don't know the details.
Thank you. Oh,
Thank you.
so what we get, $10 for this?
This is $3.99.
I like that. $3.99.